In the horror production package, I created a film poster, website and trailer that conform to the horror genre. To make this work, there were certain elements I felt were important to make the ancillaries similar and successful. These are a distinct and consistent house style, so like the use of the same title and similar images that show they belong to not only the same genre and subgenre but film itself. At the start of the year, we all agreed on an idea mainly influenced by Lauren's film synopsis that she drafted. By doing this, we created a title, Black Crow Woods, and agreed when it was come to the trailer, we'd use the same text that I used on my poster and website. We were heavily influenced throughout by the Blair Witch Project, as it was structured in a way that we wanted to produce ours. Targeting one intended audience throughout all our pieces, and we decided this would be a 15 ratings, as targeting those from 15 to 25. And use of images and text to flatter and promote the horror genre, but also the subgenre. For example, a slasher would use a knife or show some kind of element that reflects and relates to it. I'm going to talk through each of these in terms of evaluating my pieces and analysing whether they were successful. The poster I curated follows the generic conventions needed for the use of low-key lighting and sticking to the same colour palette, which for me was black and white. By using low saturation and only having one main point of colour on my poster, it created not only a distinct house style, but it adhered to the genre as well. My main text used are quite distorted and the letters appeared to be slashed. I kept it white to stand out against the black and grey heading of trees, which is very generic. I attempted to do this with my main body as well, and to portray the anger in which the antagonist would be feeling, I kept it quite simple with a close-up of his face. Keeping in line with my colour scheme, I kept it black and white, but using Photoshop manipulated a scar on his face and gave it a red glow. By doing this, I was not only sticking to the genre, but giving a clear underlying message of the subgenre being slasher as well. This gave my poster an edgy feel, and by using Photoshop I was able to do so successfully. I used Photoshop throughout my ancillaries to give them all the same distinct house style, as I could put my own individual skills into each piece. Over the course of producing my poster, I went through various drafts and continued to add and take away elements until I was happy enough that I created something that not only shown this house style but made something that we was briefed about. I think the poster would be at the stage of helping promote the film first, as it gives the audience a brief look into what is to come. My website would show this next, as it's more interactive and allows the audience to explore what the film's about and help build up for the release of the trailer. The audience consuming all this media being, like I said before, a young adult mix ranging from 15 to 25, and I think it's due to the fact that I'm mainly promoting online, and since we are now in a technology driven world, the main users of that being my target audience. Like my poster, the website also follows the typical conventions along with the colour scheme of black, white and red. I used the same main image when entering the site along with the text and the trees that I used on my poster. I also introduced the idea of the camera on my homepage. Like my influence Blair Witch, we were making a handheld camera seen present in the trailer, and to show this I put a play, pause and record button in the top corners as if it was a camera screen. Like my poster, I did this to create a consistent and distinctive house style, so you can tell it belongs to the same genre or subgenre. To give my website more possibilities to what the poster could offer, I published a film synopsis and cast pictures that, like any other website, shows a level of professionalism and, in my case, realism. I edited a series of photos to act as promotional photos and give away more about the narrative and character motivations. And by creating a website, it promotes the film again, but in a slightly more interactive way. I believe that the website would be the piece that targets our intended audience the most due to the technological aspect, as it offers a more interactive service to an audience that are the largest technology consumers. On my website, these are done through the soundtrack, links to YouTube and a Twitter widget that converges the different medias together. And then for my trailer, because both my poster and website gave me the basis to build my trailer on, as I had already discovered the storyline and the character profiles that we wanted to use. Like previous texts, it followed typical generic conventions of horror, as you can see in the background. This was done a lot, especially when editing it, as we added a lot of black screens on top of the images to bring out the low-key lighting and give it a general dark feel and create a bleak atmosphere. By limiting ourselves to 1 and 2 seconds per image, it gave the trailer a lot more suspense. The camera work was structured to show off our skills, starting with a fixed medium shot. It excelled to point of view shots and tracking shots. to give the sense of the girls being watched and the isolation they're heading for by putting them into a montage. I think this is an effective way as it provides an edge for the audience from the suspense on screen. Because of this, I feel that the trailer is our strongest piece from the skills I've developed and how we were able to use them during production and after. The trailer is also the final piece of the puzzle for the audience, as the poster introduces what is to come. The website allows them to interact and understand the narrative, whereas the trailer fits all the pieces together and provides the missing images. I'm most proud of the way we edited the trailer, as we did it in a way that was similar to how existing horrors trailers function, especially our influence Blair Witch, as it was up to high standards. I think this is apparent in our trailer when it goes into the fast-paced scenes, as they are quickly cut up into transitions and broke apart by using static white noise shots. The editing process took just over a week, and we managed to use almost all of our footage that we got whilst filming over several days, and even some of the footage was used in places that we weren't planned to do at first. When filming, we sometimes found it hard with time management, and sometimes it didn't always go to plan. Since we'd changed our idea quite early on, it was manageable, and when everybody could make it, we spent a lot of time and effort gathering resources and the correct footage, as it involved booking out the equipment and going to our film location just as it was getting dark. Although it was quite a long-winded process, it was definitely the most enjoyable, as it gave me an outlook into the time and effort spent when filming in this type of industry. As well as the editing, I am proud of the amount of shots we were able to gather on the range of them, as they turned out to look very professional. Along with this, the voiceover of the male actors gave the trailer more depth once we had edited in. This is why I believe my trailer is to be the most successful piece. However, I may try follow the same principle in order to make all three by following the narrative and generic conventions and doing so in a way that links them all together. If I had to make any improvements for one piece, I think it'd be the website, because although I wanted to keep it quite simple, in some areas it was too simplistic. Comparing to other film websites like Blair Witch or Scream, they used flash and animations that gave it a more polished and professional look, which sometimes mine lacked a bit. Over the year, I've developed and picked up on many skills constantly. Not only has this been new software like Adobe Audition or Photoshop, but the equipment like cameras and microphones accompanied us through filming. I've also found that my analytical skills have improved, as I have learned how to look at media text on two different levels, like connotations and the denotations of them. Finally, the way in which I research has been improved, as I now know how to use various resources and back up all my findings. All of these skills have helped me as a person with my creative side, which I can use over and over again. And overall, I've enjoyed creating a horror production package that conforms to the original task set from the beginning. I believe all my pieces have conformed successfully to the generic conventions, and especially to a high standard.